spend your time drawing as much as you can. Start with value, just black and white, and do a lot of black and white underpainting or sketches, and gradually add color to it. You may only add 2 or 3 colors, but as you grow and develop your skills, you'll be able to add more color to it.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to Mastrius for this sneak peek with artist and mentor, Tom Christopher, who will be demonstrating how to create a pastel painting over a textured underpainting. At Mastrius, you get personal feedback, teaching, advice, and support from a master artist of your choice, so you can reach your goals in your style at your pace. I'm your host, Marcia Korsfeld, and today I'm thrilled to introduce Mastrius mentor, Tom Christopher. Tom has explored in depth the Iowa landscape near his home and studio, recording the nuances of changes in season and light. The landscapes of this part of the Midwest reveal their beauty in subtle ways, requiring patience and dedication. Tom has immersed himself since childhood in the riverbanks and woods of his native state and captured their beauty in his pastels. His goal is to paint relatively common scenes in a more dramatic and interesting way. Most of his finished works are the result of reference photographs and on-location plein air studies. Tom is a signature member of the Pastel Society of America and a Master Circle member of the International Association of Pastel Societies. He has won significant national awards for his work. I'm really excited to dive in. Tom, the floor is yours. Welcome.
Enjoying the video? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell to be notified when new Mastrius videos are added.
Good morning, Tom Christopher here. Today I'm going to be doing a little demonstration on how I apply pastel over an acrylic underpainting. Now this piece right here is one I worked up yesterday, and it's an acrylic painting. No pastel applied yet. After I do a acrylic painting, I apply a thin coat of fine pumice gel, which is a gel that goes over the top. It has pumice in it, and when that dries, you're able to add pastel on top. So this has all been worked up before it's ready for the pastels. Now, people have asked me what gatorboard is. I have a piece of it right here. This is actually a little study I did outside a couple days ago. As you can see, it's just an acrylic painting on a piece of gatorboard. Now, gatorboard is not foam core. Foam core is a different product. Gatorboard is actually a board that was made for a shipping company, and they used to ship products with this stuff. But I found it online, and it works perfect for either oil, acrylic, and pastel.
Oh, excellent. Now, is that something you find in an art supply store or a hardware?
I have to order it online from a shipping company called Uline.
Oh,
And
yes.
I think they ship internationally.
They do. I've gotten stuff in Canada.
Yeah, and just look up gatorboard, and it comes in full sheets. You can cut it with a carpet knife or utility knife. So it's very easy, very light, very easy to frame. The people that frame my pastels just love it because it's so handy, and I usually leave a nice border around it for putting your fingers on, so you're not dipping into the pastel. But it's worked great, and I've been using it for, probably 15, 20 years now.
Oh, excellent.
Okay. All right, I use Terry Ledwig pastels, and one thing I forgot to mention is I drip house paint on an acrylic painting. After the initial layer of acrylic paint is dried, I'll take it and drip house paint. This is actually a house paint. And if you slightly run your hand across it, you can feel the texture. So that I will show you my application of pastels. Many years ago, when I first started in pastels, I worked on a paper called Canson. And as most people know, you can't apply the pastel with a lot of pressure beginning the painting. You have to keep a nice light cast, what I call. It barely touches the surface. I developed that kind of light pressure over the years, and it's kind of held with me. So in order to apply more pastels layers, I have to keep that stroke really light. And I'll show you how I do that. Okay.
Excellent.
Now, like I said, I use Terry Ludwig pastels. Off screen, I've got my pastels lined up from darks to light. Since I'm right-handed, I start at the right side with the darks and move to the left. That's something I've always done. So as you can see, well, as I'll show you, most of my design is three main elements, so big shapes. Like this might be one shape, this might be one shape, and this might be one shape. And that's a basic design I've used a lot when I'm doing outside work. It's kind of an attractive design. It's very simple. It moves things along really fast. And then within these big shapes, I'll make kind of my detail, but everything is pretty laid out here. I don't like to keep the horizon line in the middle of the painting. I always put it below or above the middle because this will immediately dissect the painting in half. If I would put a line right across here, you get two equal shapes. So I like to keep the horizon line either probably down in here or up here. Yeah. All right, I'm going to start with my darks first. As you can see, it's pretty laid out where the darks are going to be. Another good thing about this acrylic underpainting is you don't have to use that much pastel because a lot of it's already laid out. Now, the International Association of Pastel Society requires that you have the top layer of pastel at least 80%.
Okay.
So when I'm doing or entering competition, I always have to keep that in mind. But even though it has to be 80%, it doesn't have to be that thick. So you could actually cast a real light cast over there and still show through the
Oh, yeah,
underpainting. Does that make sense?
it does.
So here you've got another change in value where you really didn't have to put a lot of pressure in it. Same with this. I want to retain a lot of that underpainting, so I'm just I'm not brushing this in, I'm just dabbing it. Okay. Same here. Very light, very relaxed, almost like meditation for me. So I'm going to go ahead with my darks here.
Excellent. And that pumice medium must make a really nice tooth for the.
It does.
No,
It
to-
does. Yeah. I can't remember where I came up with that idea. I might have been just surfing the internet and came across this product and decided to try it. But again, can you see these little shapes in here?
Yep.
If you would highlight those, they often become rocks. With just a little pressure.
Oh, look at
Staying
that.
within the value. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay. And I like to work this kind of stuff in all the time without actually trying to paint a rock. I'll just outline them a little bit and put them in shadow. Okay. Now I had to decide whether I'm going to go fall or summer here. I'm going to try and do both, a little late summer, early fall. So I've got some nice red and warm colors here, which I'll save for the end. So I'm going to go with my midtones here. Just a little green. Again, see how light that cast is.
That's beautiful. You can see it, but you're still maintaining the underpainting there.
Right, you can see these shapes in here. Very mysterious, and you didn't have to paint them. They're already there. If you wanted to identify, let's say, a bush here. Oops, that's not dark. Let's go with this one. That's in shadow, and then add a little light to it. It suddenly becomes a shape that might resemble a bush or something.
Yeah.
Okay. Really a lot of fun for me. course, I've been developing these for 20 years, so it's like coming home each time I come into my studio.
Oh, nice. So pastel's your medium of choice?
I'm starting to do what I'm starting to do now is add more acrylic and less pastel. So it's going to be about 50-50 now. And I'm going to see how that goes. So that's still a work in progress. I won't show you my work. When it comes to this buildup of underpainting, the lighter the cast, the better. So there's a nice area of fairly thick acrylic paint there that I'm just going to lightly cast. Okay, let's say that this is mid-afternoon or even towards in the fall here. We have of course, the sun sets a little earlier. So this is going to be basically in shadow. From back here, maybe right here. So that's going to light up this area just a little bit more. Again, just keeping that really soft, light texture. Can you see the difference in value here?
Oh, totally, yeah.
To enhance that even more, I'll use this workable fixative, really cheap. You can buy it anywhere.
Yeah.
It's actually designed to add more surface to the board so you could add more pastel. It doesn't really work for that for me. What it does though is change the value a little bit. So if I spray this right in here, it will enhance that dark. Now it appears that it's darker shadow and then light above it.
Okay, and that'll maintain that value even when it dries?
It will. Yeah.
Okay.
It also gives you an indication of what happens when you undecided how dark to go, because you can actually add pastel over the top to bring that value up a little more.
So
Okay.
is this technique something you'd be teaching in your Mastrius sessions?
Yes.
Excellent.
Very simple, very simple. I've been teaching this for, I don't know, I think I've demonstrated IAPS 5 or 6 times. And I've demonstrated at the plein air convention. Are you familiar with that? I did that for Eric Groves, and I've done several demos for people. Art societies or pastel societies I've traveled in. I actually learn just as much from the students as I do from.
I always love it when the mentors say that. It's
true though, it really is, because it supplies that energy when you're in your studio by yourself and needs some incentive to keep going all the time. I'm gonna add just a little bit more to this top here. And if that sun is just starting to set or rise here, it's gonna light up these top of these trees. This is only the second layer of pastel, believe it or not.
wow. And how many layers would you typically put on?
This is probably it. I'll come back for detail at the end. I don't know if I'll have time to show it today, but let's say I wanted to highlight a particular area in the light here. I'm just going to add a little bit. Probably 3 layers would be enough.
Okay.
Something like that. I'm going to step back here. Okay. I think it's always important to slow down, enjoy the ride kind of, and step back and look at your painting. I know I have a lot of students that like to sit in front of the painting, you know, maybe 12 inches away and work in a little area, which really drives me nuts. But I know people are told to do that, and that's the style of painting. It's just not mine. I need to see the whole picture, see if this light's going to work with this, that kind of thing. So I always tell my students every 15 minutes they have to get up and look at the painting.
Yeah. Oh, it just puts it in a whole different perspective. You see things from a distance that.
Right, and your eyes are fresh, you're not tired, and you see
Yeah.
it as opposed to right up here to be back here. It gives you an idea of where you're going with this little thing here. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and add a little sky to this. It's gonna be, I'm gonna put a mark down here and step back to see if that's gonna be the right value. I'll put a couple marks in here. I'm a little undecided whether I want to go. It's gonna be blue, I just don't know what the value is gonna be at this point. And I may end up changing that. So I'm just gonna step back here. I kind of like this. I think what's going to happen here is I'm going to use this little value of kind of medium light blue here to create kind of a distant group of trees. And then I'm going to come back with the lighter value for the sky. Now it's going to be a very light change in value, but it might be enough to indicate that there's some trees behind this group here. I'll have to step back to make sure it's working. I may have to darken it. I'm going to darken it just a bit. Just a real light cast. Okay. Sometimes the values are so close that you really need to step back and this is actually a warm kind of pinkish color, which is kind of neat. Can you see this little change here?
Oh, I can, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I want to create a little distance, so you can carry that down here if you want. Maybe you could start the viewer here and drive them right back to this area here. Almost like a little path. Okay.
Oh, yeah, just by doing that, you've connected the foreground and back.
Creates that kind of distance going back. Good. Also, I like to kind of soften this area back here. Kind of make a shape that maybe the light is. Again, I'm not. A lot of people like to take their fingers and smear this. This is an old Albert Handel trick that I learned from his workshops. Kind of a foggy this back there. All right, I'm not too crazy about the straight shape here, so I'm going to bring this back just a little bit. Just darken this just a bit. Maybe I'll put a tree back here. I've had students tell me that when I talk to myself like this, I'm doing a Bob Ross thing. Are you familiar with Bob Ross?
Oh, I
He used to
am.
talk to himself all the time, and that's kind of what I'm doing.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a compliment, but I take it as a
I
compliment.
think it is a compliment, yeah.
Okay. Does that make sense back here?
It looks like a happy little tree.
Good. And maybe a bank right here. These things kind of develop as I go along here, since I don't really have a reference.
Oh, okay, so you're just doing this.
I'm just kind of, whatever looks good. And it's fun to do it that way, because then you're not trying to copy anything.
Yeah.
So just have fun.
Well,
Go with the idea that you may end up painting over this anyway. So.
And I'm sure when you put the house paint down, you don't really have a certain direction you're looking at going.
That's a good question. If I'm going to do a pine tree, which this is going to be eventually, I'll make the strokes this way, like a pine,
Okay.
like pine branches. Here's one right here. I'm going to go ahead and develop this this tree right here. It's going to be darker in the bottom. Okay. Believe it or not, I like to use blue in this green, so that's kind of a interesting item. And I'll do that right here. And it's just a little flavor I'm adding to this recipe here.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Also, I like to add red, which could be described in not red, but a rust color, as maybe some dead branches coming down. Because green and red go so well together. I just like to add a little bit of once in a while. Okay. This can probably be turned into kind of a focal area, so I'm just going to highlight it just a little bit. Kind of drag the viewer over to this section. Just by a little light here. You grab my darker here. Okay. Now this is going to dry just a little lighter, so I can still go light here if I have to. Let's just leave it full out. Okay, I've got my basic design. I'm just going to go ahead and add a few greens in this base here. Oops, that's too light. Let's go with this one here. There. Again, just cast it very lightly over the top. I think I'll leave these rocks here. It's maybe.
I love those rocks. That's what my eye goes to.
Okay, let's work on that a little bit. I'm going to use a different color here. If those were man-made rocks or put there as a bank, then they would be colors not really in the area. So maybe they were brought in by someone. Just a few touches of light here. Maybe a little handmade bank.
Yeah.
All right, that light is going to find its way in here eventually, so we'll put a little highlight in here. This is what I call implied detail, so I'm not really picking anything out and trying to draw it. I'm just putting some light in it, and maybe the shapes will appear.
I always love paintings that, the detail's not all there and it lets me decide what I
Exactly.
want to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the whole idea with Impressionism. It's up to you to decide what it is. And everybody's got a different experience to draw from.
Absolutely.
So this is what I do, I guess.
Beautiful.
Okay, in order to see through these row of trees, I'm gonna go ahead and, instead of painting the tree trunks, I'm just gonna add a bit of light. The tree trunk is right here.
Yeah.
Okay. And in order to make this look effective, you have to make sure that you don't repeat these shapes. And then you can darken some of these strips. How am I doing on time here?
Oh, you're doing great.
Okay.
I could sit here for a few hours and just watch you paint.
Well, I think I'd run out of things to say real fast. Okay, hopefully I'm not repeating any shapes in it. Again, it's hard for me to see unless I look back, so.
Yeah.
Another. Okay. Go ahead and add a little more soft fog to this. Whenever I see a area like this which has a straight line, I try to not repeat that. So I may bring this other plane back in front here just a little. Just so I'm not making a complete line across to it. Maybe a bush or let's put a little. I'll put a little fall.
Yeah, that made a big difference, actually.
Yeah, because I didn't want to create this line across here, dividing this up. I could see by stepping back that I need to put some dark in here. This is where the detail, if there is any. Okay. Now this tree, in order to create that shape, I'm going to have to add a little sky through here. Covered that up.
Yeah, it's amazing what a difference just adding some sky holes can make.
Yeah, and you really don't have to spend a lot of time drawing the item or the subject there. The penetrate is what I'm trying to say, because it kind of develops itself if you just figure out where the light is and where it's coming from. I'm gonna add just a little more red to see what that does to this tree. In the fall, even the pine trees will have some dead branches. And I like the play on color here, so we'll see if it works or not.
Yeah, it's definitely starting to look like this time of year.
Good. I'm gonna step back just to look. Okay, I can see here that this is kind of leaning itself or lending itself to being a little darker in value. So I'm gonna go ahead and darken this. And maybe add some of this blue to create that. It's a little more light. Let's go with this. It's always nice to, or it's always works for me to add a little shade darker when you add light, and then add a little more light as you step back and look at it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
All right. Let's go with just a little bit darker. What a nice little light here. Okay. I can see I'm spending way too much time in one area, so I'm gonna have to move to a different area here. All right, let's go with the foreground. Now that light stream in here and it's light, it's gonna cast shadow here. So let's put a little light in front here. I'm going to tone down this path just a little bit. Mixture of green here.
So what drew you to pastels?
Pardon me?
What drew you to using pastels?
What was that?
Sorry, what drew you to using pastels?
Oh, what drew me to it?
Yeah.
Well, that's a good question. I think it was through a workshop I took. I was kind of struggling with doing plain air oil paintings, and the instructor said, "Have you ever tried pastels?" So I said, "No." So he actually gave me 3 or 4 pieces, and I took it home. He showed me the basics of how to apply it, and that's kind of how it started. They were they just felt natural to me, so I stayed with it, and through experimenting with different surfaces and stuff, through the years I developed this kind of unique way of application, I guess. So yeah, it's always a good idea to find an artist you like and take their workshop.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it's a whole difference. And follow them on Instagram or Facebook or YouTube, all that stuff.
Or join Mastrius and you can.
Oh yeah,
you know,
that's a good one, yeah.
What?
Yeah, I did a little plug without even realizing it.
You sure did. No, that's really coming together.
Yeah. Now it's just a matter of playing with it. I think one of the things that I would tell students is don't be afraid to put a mark down, because even if you don't use it, you can go over it with a different value of color. So just have fun and don't worry about selling things or anything else.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Sometimes we put way too much pressure on ourselves.
Absolutely, and I've done it for years. In fact, it was kind of life-changing when I finally gave that notion up and just started painting. It seems the sales were better, and it showed in your work. I mean,
It really does.
I have students that, you know, they don't know when to quit, for one thing, because they overwork their paintings all the time. And sometimes you just have to tell them, either put it away for a few days or stop, because if you add more to it now, it's just going to destroy the whole field.
Yeah, what do they say? 5% underdone is better than 10% overworked, something like that?
Well, that makes sense. I haven't heard that, but yeah, that's a good way to put it. I think that's, yeah, that about nails it. I could fill with this for, some paintings, take me a couple weeks to do the big ones, but in order to remain fresh, you have to quit a little early, I think. Well, I do anyway, and just say that's good enough. So.
Excellent. Well, Tom, thank you so much for sharing your expertise with us.
Well, good.
Before we close off here, I just have one quick question for you. What's a piece of advice or encouragement that you'd give an artist that you wish you had heard when you were starting out?
Well, I've got a couple. One of them is learn to draw. I mean, spend your time drawing as much as you can. Start with value, just black and white, and do a lot of black and white underpainting or sketches, and gradually add color to it. You may only add 2 or 3 colors, but as you grow and develop your skills, you'll be able to add more color to it, and attend workshops, because that's what worked for me. And now that I've been teaching now for, I don't know, 20 years, I guess, it always helps students when they can always walk away with something from a workshop that they'll use.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for sharing that.
Sure.
Thanks everyone for watching. If you'd like to learn more about Mastrius, check us out at mastrius.com. Everything we do is live, interactive, and online, so you can get your questions answered in real time and learn exactly what you need to reach your goals, whatever they are. I'm a member at Mastrius and I absolutely love it because I'm learning and growing my skills fast, and the community is so supportive and welcoming. I hope you'll join us. Find out more at mastrius.com.